Welcome to They Mostly Pot Out at Night. Mostly, I am Salem, joined by my co-host Graveyard.
Hello.
This is episode 85 of our weekly All Things Horror podcast. We have journeyed into the mind of Rob Zombie before, both in our Halloween multi-episode spectacular, which was 2 Octobers ago, I believe,
Yes.
and in his own standalone episode with the House of a Thousand Corpses trilogy. But there's still a little bit of Rob Zombie to go around. So this week we are enjoying what is left. We have 2 films and a trailer for a film not yet made, maybe not ever made, but for sure not yet made. But this is all we can cover until Mr. Zombie produces more content for us. So the last movies that we have left are Lords of Salem and 31. And then, of course, the Werewolf Women of the Werewolf Women of the SS, which is just a trailer. I think they technically sometimes call it a short film because it was specifically made to be a trailer, but
Right.
it's a trailer.
Right. And we will not be covering the 2 non-horror stuff that he's done, which is The Munsters and El Super Beasto.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't. El Super Beasto is a weird animal. I don't want to get involved in that, but yeah, the monsters. Although it has some horror themes, it is definitely not what I would consider horror in any way.
No. No. I watched that thing, fortunately.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I felt like it just didn't really go anywhere. But I think that was the point of it. I think it was just basically setting up the show. It was like a prequel to the show.
Right.
Um, and I guess that would succeed in doing that, but not my favorite. But I didn't think it was bad.
Yep. All right.
Anyway, so I will start with Lords of Myself. Okay, so essentially we start out with the Salem witch trials back in 1692. These are like a slightly, I guess, changed version of than what like the historical accounts say. But I mean, nobody really knows what happened because nobody was there. So
Yeah, it seems a lot later than the Salem witch trials.
no, I mean that is when they happened, but again, they later on in the film they say like 25 people died, which is not true.
Right.
There's a whole lot of stretching going on to get to 25, but whatever. We're not we're not splitting hairs. It's not really what the movie's about. But anyway, so um, we have the preacher Jonathan Hawthorne, who was the preacher back in those days, but the witches are totally different. Instead of being just like a bunch of girls accusing women in the town of being witches, it's like they're actual witches and they're out
Yeah.
in the woods like naked doing rituals and spells and all that. And essentially the lead witch, played by Meg Foster, uh, basically gets her, with six. I think there's 6 other witches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so they all get naked and they're all dancing around doing witchy stuff. And they try to give birth to, I'm guessing, like the Antichrist. And she gives birth to a regular baby, and they are very very upset that this baby is just a regular baby. And then they
They
get caught.
spit on it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they spit on it. They're very mad because they're trying to get the Antichrist, and they end up with a regular baby. Very upset. So yeah, Hawthorne shows up with his crony guys, played by Sid Haig and Michael Berryman.
Yes.
Very small kind of cameos. Like you have to like spot them. Like they're hard. They're not like prominently displayed. They don't even say anything. But they're there. And anyway, so they capture the witches, and of course they burn because that's what they do. But before they are burned, they curse the town with a curse that we don't really hear it at that time. I'm just saying it now to make it easier to understand the rest of the movie as we go along. Essentially, they cursed the Hawthorne bloodline
Mhm.
to eventually be the bloodline that births the Antichrist. And they also curse every woman in Salem to be, I guess, like soldiers for this Antichrist baby.
Yeah, essentially they put in a spell to essentially have like the Winter Soldier able to say it to all women of Salem, and they just get
Right.
Winter Soldiered out. 17 octopus, whatever it was.
Right, right. Yeah. So then anyway, we transport to modern day, where there's a DJ group. They act like they're morning DJs, but they're apparently night DJs. I don't know how that works. I've never seen a night DJ team that does like goofy sound effects and interviews and shit. It's always a
Interviews
morning
at
show.
like 1 a.m. Yeah.
Right. It's always a morning show. I mean, yeah, sometimes they have a guy at night that'll like, do interesting stuff, but not like with the goofy sounds and the interviews and all, like, I don't know. I've never seen anything like that, but I mean, Salem, maybe they got weirder stuff there. I don't know. I've never been there. I should be there. But essentially, so there's Sherry Moon is one of these three. Um, and one of the other three is Whitey, who is the other guy that's in almost all of Rob Zombie's movies. And then the third guy, I don't remember what his name was. I'll call him Rug because he has like a really bad toupee. Anyway, so they like do like interviews, and they do the wacky, goofy DJ sound effects and all that goofy shit, and they interview like, I guess, metal people or whatever, like anything that's kind of like off the beaten path or dark, whatever, I guess,
Right.
because it's Salem radio. So whatever. So the first guy they do is just some weird metalhead Satanist guy, typical
Well,
black metal type guy.
homage to
Yeah,
Rob Zombie.
kind of, yes. And then the second guy they interview is a guy that's writing a book about the Salem witch trials and like what, quote unquote really happened or whatever.
Hmm.
But anyway, as after one of these interviews, Sherry Moon's character gets a record, like in a weird wooden box, and it says it's from the Lords of Salem. And they're like, "Oh, I guess it's like some demo they want us to listen to." So they get her and Whitey like hang out and get drunk, and they listen to the album, and the album basically like gives her like a really bad headache and also like puts her in a weird trance, and she also like experiences the suffering and everything of those witches back in 1692. So essentially this song record is the thing that starts the curse.
Right.
So there's a whole lot going on. I'm not going to go into all of it. But essentially what happens is this song gets played over the airway, which then sets all the women of Salem to be like the soldiers for the Antichrist. Sherry Moon's character is the descendant of Reverend Hawthorne. Like her last name is actually Hawthorne. So she is the one that's going to bear the Antichrist, the baby,
Right.
the evil baby. So she finds out that her landlord and her landlord's sisters are like the new age, like the witches that continued the tradition from back in those days.
Hmm.
So they're like, they basically put this in motion. They're the ones who center the record and all that kind of stuff. So they basically kind of like isolate her from the rest of her life so that she can be subjected to like, them kind of, I guess, brainwashing her and like putting her through all this weird trauma and shit. So she doesn't know what's real. She doesn't know what's fake. She's a recovering addict. She goes back to drugs, and so to mess her mind up even more. Her friends try to help her, and the witches actively try to stop it from happening.
Right. And she goes into apartment number 5. Bit.
Yeah, apartment number 5 is supposedly an empty apartment, but it's basically where Satan lives.
Right.
Satan in this movie looks like a turkey. he looks like a little person turkey is what he looks like.
Just imagine Mephisto's sidekick, but as a turkey.
Right. Yeah. This looks like a little person wearing an overcooked turkey suit.
Yes.
So essentially, like, yeah, again, she goes in there, Satan's like helping brainwash her, blah blah blah, somehow gets her impregnated with his weird worm baby.
Tentacles.
Yeah. Or whatever the hell. But anyway, her friends are trying to help her. They're actively getting shut down by the witch. The guy who she interviewed, who actually like knows the history of it, is researching this. He hears the song. He recognizes that this song was like from Reverend Hawthorne's journal from like back in that time, and he's like trying to do research to try to figure out what's going on. He eventually figures out that, oh, that looks like, this curse is happening, and that he finds out who she really is, because obviously she doesn't use her real name on the radio.
No,
And so he goes to warn her to talk. He doesn't know what's going on yet, but he goes to warn her. The witches find out he knows too much, and they just straight up kill him. And then the other two, her DJ buddies are, trying to get her back on the straight and narrow, but they're like, we're going to do that tomorrow, tonight. The Lords of Salem are coming in concert. They like were giving away tickets and stuff.
all the tickets. Yeah,
All the tickets, right? And of course, the only people in the theater are the women that were brainwashed by this record that they played over the theater. But essentially, the show starts, and it basically just like her descent into like madness.
right.
And then she gives birth to a weird worm starfish baby turkey thing. Um, and then essentially it's just that's it. That's the end. It's just a bad ending to where nothing good happens. Like she gives birth to the baby, all the women of Salem like rise up. And then as the credits are rolling, we get kind of the backstory of
The
all these
aftermath.
people
Yeah,
like there's a mass suicide, and it's like she's missing and they can't find her, blah blah blah. Anyway, all these bad things happen.
yeah. I think they
But
said was 33 women that were just
right,
piled at
right.
her feet, and she was in the pose of like Mary Magdalene.
Right. Yeah, with like white eyes.
Yeah,
But yeah, so essentially she becomes like, the Jesus of hell, I guess. And then she gives birth to, whatever this Antichrist is going to be, and then that's the end. There's no good. The only good that we get is we get a scene of her playing with her dog, and it's basically just kind of a counterpoint to show how far she has fallen.
right.
And that's pretty much it. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that happens in between, but again, it's all them forcing her descent into madness. So it's a lot of shit that doesn't make a lot of sense. We get a lot of flashbacks to the evil witches of the forest. The evil witches like sometimes appear behind her or in her house. Blah, blah. Again, it's
Yeah,
all over the place, but it's all just imagery focused on that one purpose.
yeah. Just think of like it, what Rob Zombie tried to do with her character in Halloween 2, but ramped up for witchcraft. Like her kind of
No, I
sitting
mean,
on a goat.
yeah. Well, I mean, okay, we're over. I'll go into my first thoughts here, but this is basically Rob Zombie's attempt at doing like a slow burn
Hmm.
psychological horror. Instead of doing his crazy, wacky, in your face, kind of over the top, sometimes
Ilfo.
cheesy, all times ultra violent, all kinds of like crazy one liners and shit like that, which is what he's kind of known for.
Right.
This is kind of the antithesis of that, to where it's like the opposite. I mean, there's still a little bit of his style. I mean, obviously his style is there, but it's very much made a different way. Like this is a movie more on the lines of like The Exorcist or like Rosemary's Baby kind of thing.
Hereditary. Yeah.
Right.
It's
Like
yeah.
it's a slow burn. There's not a lot happening. There's a lot happening behind the scenes,
Hmm.
but like the craziness doesn't really pop until the end.
Right.
But this one has a little bit more craziness peppered in it. Like again, like Satan Turkey and and the witches appearing around and shit like that. But more or less, it's not his normal over the top kind of stuff, which is it's interesting for him. And I think everybody bitched and whined and complained and didn't like this movie, and I don't think he's probably not going to do it again, which is a shame. And I don't. I think that obviously this is his first time doing this kind of thing, and
Right.
I thought he did great. But again, it's not really his forte. He was just trying to do something different and original.
Right. It's not his motif. It's
Right. Right.
not- so this is not a rewatch for me. This is the very first time I've seen this movie. And you know, I was off the Rob Zombie kick at when this movie came out. Right. He came out with some crap music that I just didn't care for. Um
And
was
like
this
you
the
and all the other hype train pure people got all upset after Halloween and stopped watching his movie.
Um, but I was absolutely surprised and pleased by it. I think it is a pinnacle of what he would want to do in a horror movie. It's not set in the 70s. It's not the 70s exploitation, right? It's not the crazy hill folks. It's not the crazy family. It's not crazy people. And it has a supernatural element to it, which he's never done. You know what I
Right.
mean?
His is
His other
always like, yeah, it
people,
might be fucked up, but it's real.
people,
Like it could happen. Right.
right, right. It's just people.
Right.
um, and honestly, it was a breath of fresh air for that, for his stuff. Um, I am disappointed. It took me 11 years to see it.
Like I said, I've tried to tell people this movie is good, and everybody was like, just raised an eyebrow. I was like, okay, but no one believed me because no one watched this movie.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and you're right. It is just a huge drastic departure. Absolutely huge departure. And I think it was for the better of it. It's a shame that he's sort of just going to keep going back to the crazy people doing bad shit and not go dive into the slow burners to a lore deep supernatural element, which it seems like he always wanted to do. And I think he did a great job of it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we have these two movies this week because I really believe that these two movies are like on the opposite ends of his spectrum. Like
Right.
Lords of Salem is definitely all the way on the like psychological kind of like,
Hmm.
slow burn kind of like not as in your face. And then 31 as I really believe probably is craziest
Oh yeah.
because the other ones usually have like some form of like secondary normal plot line. So what that this one does not.
No.
There's nothing. It's just craziness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really believe that these two are opposites in his repertoire anyway.
Oh yeah, for sure. Do you want to do your highlights first?
Sure.
Okay.
Number one, they played Venus in Furs by the Velvet Underground, which is one of my very, very favorite songs. Doesn't get enough love, I think. I mean, it's been in a couple of things here and there, but
Hmm.
it's a very good song, and I'm very happy they put it in here. Anyway, Troy, her dog, was
Yep.
he was a great
Oh yeah, he was.
dog. He was obviously very well trained. It was a couple of weird scenes that he was in. He's in it more than like some dogs in movies,
Right.
but it was pretty cool. There was a couple of times where I'm like, "Where's the dog? Who's taking care of the dog?" Because obviously, like the dog was missing for chunks of time. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I really like we were talking about earlier. I really dislike that slow burn psychological version of him. Like this is again totally different from other things that he's done, and it's nice to see. I like it. I'd also like to, you don't know what's going on. Like, you don't know what's fact, what's fiction when she's like,
Right.
having delusions. Like, are these things actually happening? Are they not happening? We don't know. I mean, it's different and strange, and I also like the ending because it's just really bad.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about that ending. No redemption arc, no nothing. It just decline and then ending on a bad note. That's it, which is very rare,
Right.
but fun. What about you?
Um, I said, having not seen this, I was not expecting this to be a slow burn psychological thriller or horror. I was not expecting to have to like, oh shit, there's stuff hidden in the background.
See, now
Like,
I purposely did not tell you what kind of movie this was because I really just wanted to see your reaction when you watched it.
but yeah, it's like this is like a classic, like modern day horror for him. So not the exploitation. And it's kind of like I said, that's kind of put it to like Hereditary. There's shit in the background. You're like, holy crap, and there's just stuff like that's never been done in his movies ever. There's not stuff to look for and stuff to like, oh, is that shadow? Was that or that door's moving? Oh, there's just a person standing on her countertop that her dog's not even reacting to.
Right. Yeah, it's like yeah, well, in most of his movies, it's like, in your face, screaming, blood spraying everywhere, some usually a chainsaw going, so,
Right.
there's like some crazy shit always going on. You know exactly what it is that you should be focused on and afraid of. But
Mhm.
yeah, this movie, yeah, total opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, and for him, I think he did it well. I think his love of modern horror as well and the supernatural paid off in this movie. You know what I mean? It's the visuals were great. Yeah, they were crazy, but they were great. They weren't as let's say choppy as they were in 31, but it's
Right,
like long shots, right? Um, I think I feel like this is Moon's best role that she's done in his movies, where she's just playing a person.
right.
You know what I mean?
And no cackling.
Right.
No cackling. I didn't again, I would have this is like what I usually stress about this movie is like, do you hate when Sherry Moon cackles? Yes, then you should watch this movie because she does
Yeah.
not do it at all. And she actually can act. Like this is like I mean, she's not a great actress by any means, don't get me wrong. But like she can actually do it. Like she's
Yeah.
not just like a one, hit wonder. Like, we know the character that she plays in all the rest of his films, right?
Right.
She's always, the same kind of crazy character. But yeah, this one, like, she plays just like a normal ish. I don't want to say normal person, but a normal ish person.
Right. Yeah. Um, I like the fact that you really that his love of music was in this too, right? Obviously, the metalhead that he has was his videos, and the cross upside down on his forehead is what he looked like on Hellbilly Deluxe, right? So he's kind of leaned into his persona and kind of making fun of it at the same time. I appreciate that too. I like the cameos of yeah, I recognize Michael Behrman right away. But I'm like, you're like, holy shit! Like this is his star-studded cast of people that he has in everything else. They're but they're not just crazy. They're just
Right.
not, eating the scenery.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I say, yeah, like Sid Haig is in it, but he's like, it's definitely it's an official cameo because he really doesn't do much. He's like barely there.
right. And yeah, like, and usually people don't like his movies, or at least the wife doesn't like it because of his over the top gore and violence, and that wasn't in here. She makes it that pure slow burn.
Right. And D Wallace gets to kill somebody.
I know.
I get from what I understand, she was like really excited to do this movie because they always make her like a mom,
Right.
and she never gets to do anything fun. In this movie, she actually got to kill some.
Right. And this is also a way that with the older cast that he was able to bring in older horror icons and do great stuff with them.
Right.
You felt like it was a modern time. You felt like you're slowly descending into madness with her. And it's just a great story with a bad ending. You know what I mean? It's you know, yeah, shit went down. And I enjoy that. Don't we roll into my low points?
Go for it, buddy.
Let's face it, the turkey man. That's it.
You don't like Turkey Man?
No. And her just like roping his two tentacles in the church, that was a little weird. Um, I thought for certain the priest scene was going to go somewhere like, oh, that was like her brother or something weird. No, it was just she fell asleep in church and just dreamt of a priest, forcing her to perform fellatio.
Well, but that's the thing. We're at that point. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know if it's real or if it's fake because she goes outside and she sees like a monster. You know what I mean? So like, who knows?
Yeah. Um, I'm pretty certain there's more than 33 women in Salem.
Well, yeah, but how many of them were listening to that DJ
Yeah.
show at that point in time? But also, they had to have come from Salem
Right.
because, like
OG Salem.
the
Yeah.
one guy's wife who was from Venezuela, she listened to it, but she was unaffected. So
Hmm.
it's not you're not just a woman that is in Salem. You have to be like a part of the bloodline. I think that was there when they put the curse out.
That's fair.
Is what I got from it, and that's why there was 33 of them and not all of them.
Yeah. Um, And let's face it, the puritanical times were bullshit, and and unfortunately, things did happen of people being killed for witchcraft. Not as much as we think there are or were. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's still shit time. I don't like it.
Correct.
But like I said, I'm stretching for low points here. But what about you?
Low points is the fucking DJ sounds. DJs drive me insane with that shit. You know, where they're like, they're talking, they're giving an interview, and there's always a guy in the back like pressing these stupid buttons, like, oh, there's a
Sound bites?
baby crying, oh, there's a lady going, ew, ew, whatever. It's like this stupid bullshit, like constantly in the background. It
Yeah.
drives me insane. It's like it reminds me of like laugh tracks and sitcoms.
Right.
It drives me nuts. So like those scenes that like I could not focus. I'm just like, stop. Fucking sound effects. You're driving me crazy. Two. Okay. Genealogy is not that easy.
What?
He was like, tap, tap, tap. Oh, this is her real name. Like, figures it out that quickly. I mean, I guess you could if you have internet skills, right? And she
And
didn't.
here's 400 years worth of her
Right. And
history.
then she's like, oh, click family tree. Oh, she's related to Reverend Hawthorne. It took him 30 fucking seconds to get there.
Yeah.
I've never really done extensive work, but I know you have done quite a bit of genealogy work. It takes a long time
Very long
to
time.
get anywhere. So if you're
Yes.
going backwards, like what, 200 years, it's going to take, or 300 years, it's going to take a long ass time.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be doing that for months, years, and you're going to have to get experts called in and shit to like check stuff, whatever. Not that easy.
Unless he, for part of his job, he was already building the family trees out.
I guess, but he's just like, click, click, click. Like, no, it's not that easy. And then the other thing was when the meltdown was happening at the very end, there's a whole lot of stuff like super cut in there, but there's
Yes.
a whole lot of like weird fucking clip art that looks like he bought it for free off the fucking internet. Like it's like weird rainbows behind like, generic looking people that are all pixelated. I'm like, wow. It's like the shittiest looking picture I've ever seen. And then it like melts, which is like the melting is just like he takes like a Photoshop filter and like pushes down. Like, okay, I get what you're going for here, but like I would hope that your effects budget is higher than that. Like
Right.
you made Turkey Satan. You can afford to pay a graphic designer to make a real fucking picture.
Yeah.
Um,
That's fair.
but that's it. That's all I get. So this week we're gonna do butt cleavage out of 10 because every movie that Jerry Moon is in, I maybe it's just Rob Zombie's thing. I don't know. It is his wife. Whatever, he can do what he wants. But there is butt cleavage in every movie
Oh,
of
yes.
of her. Yes. So that's what we're going with. We're going to number of butt cleavages out of 10. How many butt cleavage would you give this movie?
Oh, man. Like I said, I was very surprised by this movie. You know what I mean? Like, stupidly surprised. I even think the wife would watch this. She doesn't like Rob Zombie stuff anymore.
Oh yeah, this is not really. If you don't like Rob Zombie for the goofy shit that he does, this is definitely the movie to try to ease him in, for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know. 8.5? How about you?
Yeah, that's solid. I would give it 8. 8 butt cleavages out of 10. I really think this is a good movie. It's a
Yeah.
shame it went under the radar. It's a shame that it didn't do better. So that hopefully, he would like, hey, maybe I can do different things. I can branch out and do different stuff. Um, but anyway, I thought it was a great thing. I've tried to tell people to watch it, and everybody's like, nope. So, yeah. Anyway, good movie. You should watch it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I said, I have turned around to Rob Zombie. Yeah, I said, like I said, 2012, I was off the Rob Zombie boat.
I know everybody stopped liking him because of Halloween. I get it. I don't agree. Obviously, well, we went over all this
Yeah.
and Halloween, but yeah, I don't agree. But I've been watching all his movies like as they come out, and then this one was one of the better ones for sure.
I mean,
Um,
it's the only one I skipped of his entire filmography.
but also it had my name in it, so I kind of had to watch it. So,
Oh, right, right.
but okay, so we have our second movie, or what are they all the second, only of the two movies we're really doing, and that is 31. Take it away.
Yes. Clearly, after Lords of Salem didn't do so well, he went back to his
Right? Yeah.
70s
Let's
exploitation
turn it
movie.
up to fucking 12 and just go back to what we were doing.
Right. Because I believe this was his next one,
I think
right?
you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah. Or maybe El Super Beasto was before it, but this is first next live action.
Right.
I know I didn't see this in theaters, but I did watch it as soon as it came out. And it kind of starts off like what 1976, somewhere in the South.
Shock.
uh I know. We get Richard Brack in the what everyone's considering like the best single take one shot scenes of all time. He doesn't fucking blink
Not
the
at
entire
all.
time.
At all. It is unnerving.
Yeah. Yeah. And he like this is if you know Richard Brake, you know he does like this is pinnacle Richard Brake, right?
Yeah.
He's like staring right at you, talking to the camera, and we find out he's like talking to a priest. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill you." Yes. We got your wife, and sorry, my axe isn't very sharp. So this can take a couple extra hits. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Whack his head off. um, so we get introduced to that, and I'm assuming, let's say, year prior, right? They don't say a year later, but I would assume this is a year prior because he said he's off. Was taking a year off for
Right.
the
Right.
next part. So then we get introduced to a weird band of people in an RV. All carnies.
Yeah, I think they're part of a carnival, and I think they're like the hucksters. I think
Yeah,
that I think Meg Foster is the lady that runs like the girly show.
yeah,
Like in the old timey carnivals, they had a girly show.
right.
And I'm pretty sure she's the one that runs
Yeah, you have I don't know. Let's call him Billy Bob driving the RV
it.
with his Confederate flag in there with three African American people in there too.
Right. And
Weird.
the funny part was they were like friends.
Yeah,
They were like they got along. I don't know. Maybe it's different in the 70s. I don't
that's a weird style of choice.
know. I agree.
So anyway, they're traveling to the next show. They pull up the gas station. It's self-serve. Guy happens to a sign that says, "Hey, this is self-serve." Sherry Moon does a little seductive dance where she's just wearing like a bandana over her chest, and that's it.
Right. Exactly. It looks like she's wearing a fancy napkin.
Oh, right. Anyway, they're getting gas, and Jeffrey Daniel Phillips, right? That's his full name.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking, yeah,
Yeah,
Herman Munster, the guy that
yeah,
was Whitey
yeah,
in the last
yeah,
movie. Yeah.
yeah. Same guy. He's getting gas, and the girl's like, "Oh, you guys going hunting?" No, we ain't got no guns. But you got a shotgun. What'd you use that for? Propping up the window.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
If you meet a stranger
I have
who's
all the
asking you if you have
guns.
guns, the answer is always yes.
I have
Yes, I
all
have
the
a lot
guns.
of them. They're always loaded, and I'm very paranoid.
Right.
Don't ever say no.
Right. It's like, okay. And she leaves. And so, yeah, they kind of go on the road. They're going there. It's Halloween. And they get down there. All of a sudden, there's like, what, scarecrows in the middle of the road. Which they just go out and stop to check to move them out of the road. So just, driving through them or around them, whatever. Anyway, then they get attacked. And half of the ragtag team gets killed instantly to the point there's 5 left. So the woman, the one guy was banging, poor Billy Bob's dead. Whitey's girl thing dead. So yeah, they kind of get into a Jigsaw-esque warehouse. Jigsaw would be proud of this place.
For sure. Yeah.
Then we get to meet the social elites dressed in the classic French Marie Antoinette style
Yeah,
stuff, right?
the powdered wigs,
Yeah,
like the big frilly fancy suits and dresses and everything. Yeah,
yeah, like the scarves that are like frills.
yeah, exactly.
He's like, "Welcome, you have 12 hours to survive, the game of 31. Let's introduce you to, they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They start placing bets, so it's like Squid Games, but in the deep south."
Right, right.
Right? But
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what. Yeah, it's close enough. I was gonna say I don't know what they're quite going for, but sure.
right. They introduced to the first guy, who is a Nazi and Hispanic and the dwarf.
Yeah, and a little person. I was like, he's yeah, he's something else.
I mean, he plays the same character, just not a Nazi in Three from Hell, essentially. Like,
He's not quite as much of a psychopath in Three from Hell. He's just like a kind of a normal person.
right. Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna kill you. So yeah, they kind of just scene deleted. It seems like they're talking, and all of a sudden, boom, they're all like knocked out with bags over their heads in separate rooms. And he starts hunting them a little bit, and he's able to, he's like, oh, number 4, numero cuatro. You're always the first to die. He's like, he come here. It's like, no. But he does stab him a bit.
A lot of it.
A lot of it, yeah, to essentially death. And it's kind of get hunted, and they kind of each get their own little special weapons with their numbers on it, so they know it's theirs. We get like a piece of a pegboard or leg with a couple
Yeah,
nails through it.
it's like a table leg with nails in it.
Yeah,
There's like the bat looks cool because it's like a baseball bat, but it's like wrapped in steel.
yeah.
I don't know.
A
I'd want that.
knife,
That looks pretty
a
cool.
machete,
Yeah, a regular
a
kitchen knife
pipe.
is like, wow,
I
yeah,
think
it's
of a
imaginative.
pipe.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some cat and mouse with him. He, Sherry Moon's character decides to do the dumbest thing possible. When you're hiding in the bathroom, what do? You don't stand on the floor. You stand on the toilet, so no one can see your feet.
Well, no, yeah, you squat down on the floor and then breathe really fucking loud so that everybody in the room knows exactly where you are.
Yeah, that was her method.
Genius move.
of the Hispanic Nazi
Right. Who's
and
also speaking
torturing.
Spanish half the time, which is hilarious.
Right. Yeah, she is too a bit.
Well, yeah, what I was like, and then I was thinking about it. I was like, well, you know what? That kind of makes sense because like half the Nazis tried to hide in South America.
Right.
So I guess it makes sense that, they could be,
Yeah.
they could have fans in Spanish.
Yes. I mean, while I was going around, they do find his his shrine to Hitler.
Right.
you know, they eventually, do kill him. He's like, no, no, don't kill me. And then like stab him multiple times in the chest. He's dead. But number 4 is down.
But I did like how they kept showing like the two guys, like, oh, they're gonna come to the rescue, and it was Meg Foster that,
Yep.
that showed up with the table leg to kill him. Like
Yeah.
that was interesting.
Well, she hit him once. And,
Well, she hit him in the back of the head with a nail, so yeah,
yeah,
he was starting to have convulsions at that point. I'm pretty sure he was almost gone.
dying. Yeah. So anyway, kind of like, deleted scene. Oh, here, come eat at this table. Oh man, we're hungry. Start eating the meat and like, oh man, somehow they got the body of the guy that died, number 4, and somehow time to cook him.
I
So
don't know. They didn't really like say they cooked him. I think they kind of just insinuated that they did. I don't know
yeah.
if they actually did.
But they're like, oh, we're eating him, and they start throwing up. So that's like I said. Next up is uh the Clown Brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Psycho Head and Schizo Head.
Yes. Oh, Bill Mosley makes his appearance for the first time. 2 clowns with chainsaws. They're like, oh, they find a girl that's
Who's Bill Mosley?
what?
He's one of the chainsaw guys?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Bill Mosley.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay. He sounded and looked like Bill Mosley.
The one guy is that the guy that I think you're talking about that kind of looks like Bill Mosley. It's the guy that played Axel in The Walking Dead. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. He's usually got longer hair with like he's sometimes got a handlebar mustache. I'm sure you've seen them and stuff because I looked it up.
Okay.
I looked it up who they were because I didn't know who they were.
I mean, that looked like Bill Moseley
It
and sounded
does,
like
yeah. They probably did it on purpose, but it was, yeah, it was not
okay. Damn. Then they did a really good job of that.
him.
Um so anyway, then they start going around there, they get into see a girl that's being trapped there, like it's just like really messed up, like guts kind of hanging out, with barbed wire all around her wrists, stuff like that. Like, oh man, we shouldn't do this. And Roscoe's like, no, we should leave her there. Like, boom, trap. Yep.
Sorry, Lou Temple is the guy's name.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
if you've seen his picture, I know you know who he is, but he's usually got like a handlebar mustache and like longer hair.
Yeah,
But
he's in Devil's Rejects too.
yes, he was.
Yeah. Okay. I could have sworn it was Bill Wilson, but that's a great job then. So anyway, yeah, it's a trap. Then they start having, 2-on-2 fights with chainsaws. Roscoe gets fucked up pretty well. But discount chop top falls onto his chainsaw and dies. And then he's like, no, we're part of this too. Don't do this to us. And then they proceed to, chop off his head. Those two guys are dispatched pretty quickly. The girl that was tied up there, well, she's dead too. She got a good chainsaw in. So they take one chainsaw because the other one, the chain broke.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they survived, with some damage, but no one died this time. So they're kind of going like, all right, what's next? They're banding together, and next we get sex and rock and roll.
Sex head and death head.
Death head, yeah. Which very German guy. Let's
Yes, extremely German.
yeah. With the girl that knew that they didn't have any guns.
Oh, right.
um they kind of uh dispatched them quickly. Although the other African American guy gets multiple shots into the gut.
Oh, you want some fun trivia real quick?
What's that?
The lady who plays Sex Head is the voice of Tommy Pickles.
That's awesome.
just just
That's
spice it up
awesome.
a little bit.
That's awesome. So yeah, so one of the other guys does die from his wounds. To that, and then it's just kind of the three left: Roscoe, Sherry Moon, and what's her name? Was it Venus? I guess I'm looking it up
Yeah,
right now. Yeah,
yeah. It was
Venus.
like, yeah, Venus something. It was V and V. I don't remember what it was, but yeah,
Yeah,
Venus, whatever.
yeah. So they're like,
Venus
oh man,
Virgo. Sorry.
yeah. They're like, oh man, what do we do? No one's. What happens if they live? They have like 3.5 hours left. Well, no one's ever done it. I guess we gotta call in. They gotta be like, who should they bring in? Like, you know what? Doomhead. He will get this taken care of. So we cut to him, banging is like gets the call. It's like, oh, I was gonna take this year off. That's why I said it's gonna be a year later. Like, oh, how much time I got left? All right, double my rate. So he gets there, he gets his white face on there, and I'd say quickly dispatches the next two people.
Yeah, yeah. Meg Foster goes down pretty quick.
Yeah, he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
So anyway, as he's toying with Sherry Moon, time is up. Like, all right, weapons down. She's free to go. She's able to go, but he kind of catches up with her into a house with like a puppet show, and craziness ensues. And she's like, okay. And then she gets the final girl limp as she's walking away from there, and he pulls up, takes out two switchblades, smiles at her. End of movie.
Right now, I don't. Yeah, I don't, who knows what's going on there? But I would say the way that he's holding his knives, it looks like he's trying to hand her one.
Right.
But the way that the camera is angled, you can't see it all that well. It is like the way that he's holding it. It looks like he's holding one out. So I don't. Yeah, I don't. Again, it's up in the air as to what the hell is actually happening. Yeah.
Right. Because they're kind of like over his head a bit.
Right.
And like, but his hands aren't fully grasped on. Like he's like, smiling to the camera because he wants his kills, but he's doing it on his own terms. and
Right.
giving them a chance.
Right. Yeah. We don't know. I mean, who knows what's going on? It just. I don't think it's as simple as he just is going to murder her. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but
Yeah.
it's fun.
I'll go into my first thoughts and rewatches. Uh, on the first thoughts, I go, yeah, this is a Rob Zombie movie. I can tell it's a Rob Zombie movie. You know, it's not the social elite that. Oh, I said social elite. When the game was done, they put their stuff away and went back to their normal lives. Um, but it was still in your face horror, right? It's still the 70s exploitation stuff that he is known for. And so, having seen now Lord of Salem, I can see why he did it. Rewatches, there's nothing new in the rewatches, I would say, because it's not that as depth to it as you think. Was it potentially set up to do a sequel? Absolutely, because the rich assholes are still alive. Nothing happened to them at all. So potentially a bad ending with that. Um, is it unique to him? Yeah, I think so. Is it one of his best ones? I not necessarily. It's still good. I don't think it's one of his best ones. I mean, what are your first thoughts and rewatches?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically just I mean, the storyline, the premise is kind of given to you in like what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And then it's just craziness. It's just like this is what the movie is. They're gonna get chased by crazy people and slowly get killed off one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wastes no time throwing you in. There's no subplots. It's just bam, you're in it. It's like you have to survive. It's kind of like it's almost like a video game to where like you keep getting bosses thrown at you and you have to defeat them, and that's the whole thing. I mean, that's it. It's simple, but it's fun. So,
Right. Do you want to start with your highlights then?
sure. I mean, Richard Brake obviously is
Yes.
fantastic in this movie. I don't. He's not in enough of it, I think, but maybe he's in that perfect amount to where you want more, and that's like leave him wanting more, right? I guess
Yeah.
is how they say it. But I mean, yeah, the beginning is fucking amazing, and I don't think the rest of the movie ever really lives up to that
No.
beginning. I mean, it's still fun and good. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, that's probably the best scene of the movie. Is
Mhm.
is the very first scene of and but anyway, he's fantastic in it. He's plays a great psychopath, and I don't know how he doesn't blink for that long, but
Oh, I tried not blinking with him.
I can't. If I tried not to, it's like immediately I start blinking. So I don't. Anyway, the concept of all the goofy head people is funny to me. I mean, like sick head, the crazy little person, Hitler guy is like he's insane. I've never seen another character like that, just as over the fucking top as that character is.
No.
Like yeah, there's no other movies that have that insanity, and it's great. And that's the first one. So like you're coming out of the gate like what is happening? But yeah, I mean, it gets to it quick. Like I said, it's like 5 minutes, and it's like boom. Like we get a little bit of like, hey, we're carnival people. Here we go. Throw them in a place we're getting hunted for sport. Like that's pretty much all it is. And it just keeps going the whole time. There's really not any downbeats.
Right.
Really not. It's like every time you think it's a downbeat, it's really just not. It's overall, I think it's fun. It's just good. And another movie, No Cackling by Sherry Moon.
Yeah.
That's great. Because again, her cackles like are I don't know, they like hurt my brain. I can't deal with them. And also the music was fun. I mean, obviously it's just 70s music, which he seems to really like because he puts it in a lot of his movies. But um, yeah, it's fun, great, fit the purpose pretty well.
Mhm.
What about you? What do you got?
I mean, yes, Richard Brake. I mean that he nailed it. He absolutely nailed it, and he like this is pinnacle psycho spotlight. And yeah, I mean, would he have been diluted if he was in it more? I think so. I think is like the right amount.
Right. Yeah, so you want him to be in more of it, but yeah, thinking about it, it's like, if he was in more of it, it might have not been as good.
Right. Um, and yeah, I mean, it is a classic 70s exploitation, I think, hands down. Bad ending. The the rich assholes got away with it. Nothing happened to them.
Yeah, nothing even like they didn't even get threatened.
No,
Like
not
there's
even
nothing.
close.
Yeah, they just walked away.
So I mean, as a world building lore potential background, like this is ripe for it. Like this movie could have sequels, and you'd want it. You know, you want these rich assholes to see because they have other heads they never even got to.
Yeah, there's a couple they mentioned towards the end, like who do we bring in to close this?
Right.
It's like we could bring in Rage Head or there's another one. I forgot what it was, but
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, we have the potential to see what happened with Doomhead and Sherry Moon Zombie. We don't know.
right. I mean, yeah, she might come back as her own head. That would be fun.
Right. Right. Um
But then she would probably cackle though, and I wouldn't like that.
right. Yeah, that's what she did. She just chased people.
I
Yeah.
bet you it would. That would terrify me, but
Yeah. Um, Sickhead, as you said, he's a character you'll never see in any other movie.
right. That's like a character that lives in my brain all the time. Like that character is just so fucking out there. It's like, wow, that's a fucked up character.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, the music, I know, and it's John Five who you know does stuff with Rob Zombie. I think he's his guitarist, and he did the music on both Lords of Salem and 31.
Mm.
It wasn't just Rob Zombie, so it's both of them, which was nice. 'Cause I like their music. Uh, yeah, I said I really, it makes me want a sequel. And that's good praise. Do you want to reload my low points?
Yes.
Uh, they killed off like half the people way too soon. Yeah, I mean, there could have been a lot more on-screen deaths, brutality stuff that we could have seen. Yeah, but unfortunately, the people that were there were not just part of his regular. So Rob Zombie's regulars lived through the first RV massacre.
Right.
Like I said, get out of the car in the middle of nowhere and just move stuff. I think they could have driven around the scarecrows.
Well, yeah, I would have just driven fucking through them. Like you put them in
Yeah,
the middle of the road. Like, what do you expect is gonna happen? They're just scarecrows. They're made out of fucking straw. Who cares?
right. And let's face it, this movie is chopped to all hell. It, like I said, it really feels like there's scenes missing. Like I said, they're all handcuffed, and then boom, oh wait, they're all waking up with bags over their heads. Like
Well,
what?
what
What
scene do you
happens?
want in the middle?
How'd they get there?
Well, you want people to show them dragging them there? I mean, like you can put two and two together. You know why they're there. You know how they got there.
But and I said the editing is really choppy though.
It can be, yeah.
It's like it is like Marvel fight scene choppy at some points of it. Um, and yeah, it's uh, I don't know. It's just weird to tell people you have no guns.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you ever tell a stranger if you have guns or not? Don't ever do that.
Yeah, and I said, and the question of whether the number 4 was killed and cooked really fast, like because there's huge chunks of time that obviously nothing's there. I mean, obviously you can't show all 12 hours of the game of 31,
Right.
but I'm like, do you think they would notice like, oh, his body was moved and then cooked and prepared potentially? You know. What about you? What are your little points?
uh okay, so Meg Foster, she was getting around pretty good. I know she's getting a little up in age there. She was moving
Hmm.
around pretty good and stuff like that, but dear God, she's got these like veins that were like garden hoses in her arms. Like,
Yeah.
holy Christ, those were some giant veins. I couldn't every time they were on screen, I'm like, wow. Every time. It was just very distracting. But yeah, that was fun. Again, the timeline here. the timeline of like what the fuck is going on is all over the place. Like
Mhm.
Doomhead gets there, they tell him he has like over 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah.
He kills Meg Foster immediately,
Right.
right? So like, okay, what he's got what 2 hours left?
Right.
And
If
like,
that, not
yeah,
if not
again, that's
more.
stretching. I'm trying to give him as much time as possible, like for him to get there and get in. But like, he was dressed and ready, and they told him 2.5 hours, so he was about to go to work.
Yeah.
It's not like when he got there and it took time to get dressed and shit. No, no, no. He was already done. It's all 2.5 hours, and he kills Meg Foster immediately. They like go to escape. He kills the dude like in like 30 seconds,
Right.
and then he gets to this house. It took him 2 hours to get to the house. The
Yeah.
fuck? And
A
again,
sixth of the entire game.
right. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I get, like, some of these other guys, it takes them a while to, like, get prepped and get ready, but it looks like they were, like, living on set there. Like, like Hitler guy had his little party room, right?
Yep.
Like the chainsaw clowns had their little party room. Like, it looked like they were living there. So, like, I guess they could have been quick, but, like, maybe the other ones got called in later. I don't know. I mean, Doomhead obviously did, and he said it took him 90 minutes to get there. So, like, we understand why it took 2 hours for that one to start. But the rest of them, like, there's 12 hours. I think 12 hours is a little excessive.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed to say 12 hours or whatever. I don't, doesn't matter. And again, what the fuck is the game of 31? They're like giving people odds. Odds of what? Like, they said they never had a survivor before. So what the fuck are they betting on?
Who
Like,
dies first? Maybe. I don't know.
right, but like, I was like, but like the guy, when the guy got severely injured and he was like near death, they gave, 1,000,001 to odds to you.
Right.
Right. So like, okay, so now he's got higher odds to survive, but like they're betting money. They'll be like, 5 million on what? What are you betting on? And like when there's possibly going to be a survivor, they're like, we need to get somebody in here to close this out. We can't have a survivor. Then what the fuck is the bets all about?
Everyone dies.
Right. I'm like, what do you like? I don't understand what the game is. And what does 31 mean? There's no score.
I mean, it's 31 because obviously it's Halloween.
Well, I'm just saying, like, what the fuck? Like, give me some rules. Like, these weird games and movies always have some rules. There's nothing. There's no rules. There's no scoreboard. There's nothing. It's just like people randomly doing things and just like I don't understand the purpose of it.
I mean,
There's a
that's
lot of
probably
numbers thrown around, but nothing is clicking.
it's probably one of those deleted scenes that I keep talking.
I don't know. I'm just like, what are you giving people odds for? Like, if no one's going to survive, what like then it would mean like higher odds would be people that are most likely going to die because higher odds mean it pays more.
Right.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm all over the place. I don't get it. I'm not a gambling man. Maybe that's why I don't understand. But yeah, the score was confusing the shit out of me. I was trying to figure it out because obviously I've seen this before, and I'm like trying to figure out if there's some kind of like purpose to the score, and there's nothing. There's
No.
nothing at all. It's just the fun of it, I guess. But that's it. That's all I got. So
You want to go
for
first?
31, number of butt cleavages out of 10. You want me to go first? You want to go first?
You can go first.
I will give it 7. We'll give it
7.
7 butt cleavages out of 10. It's worth rewatching, but I don't think it's quite as good as Lords of Sin.
Right. I completely agree with you. It's kind of like those. If it wasn't for this podcast, I may have never watched this again. Just because I've seen it. There's like I said, it's not deep. There's not enough to gnaw on to go back to. That's just kind of like turn your brain off and watch Rob Zombie at this point. I will give it down to a 7 as well. 7 butt cleavages out of 10. Like I said, it's rewatchable. Don't get me wrong, but it's just choppy at places, and you need to go back to like supernatural stuff.
All right. So then Werewolf Women of the SS trailer. I mean, obviously it's a fucking trailer. It's only like 2 minutes long. So there's not, we're not gonna have high points, low points, and
No.
stuff like that. But I mean, it's interesting. I would really like the movie to be made. and it looks ridiculous. And Bill Moseley is in that.
Yes, he is.
We got Bill Moseley. We got well, Sherry Moon, of course.
Hmm.
All the same characters are in there. Nicolas Cage is in it as
Yeah.
Fu Manchu. Why Fu Manchu would be in a Nazi movie, I don't know. But I mean, again, we're talking grindhouse trailers here, so yes, stupid, ridiculous things are all over the place. But it looks really fun. I would love to watch it.
He already has the perfect character from 31 to be in it.
Right?
Sickhead could absolutely be in the werewolf of the SS.
But yeah, it's just like it's over the top. It's ridiculous. I don't know why these other movies all got made. I don't know why this one has yet to be made. Um, I don't know. I don't get it. But
I'd love for it to get made
it should. It definitely should.
because then it's just this and don't that are left.
Yeah. Although I'm pretty sure that if it did get made, Sherry Moon would cackle in it, and that would upset me.
Maybe the cackle will turn into a howl. She transforms into a werewolf.
I can only fucking hope. But yeah, I'm pretty sure her character is based off of the what was the lady's? I don't remember her name, but they called her like the hyena.
Hmm.
She was like a guard, like a guard at one of the camps that would like laugh and like got off, like literally got off on like torturing and fucking like messing with prisoners and shit.
Yeah.
Terrifying, fucking terrifying to hear about. But I'm pretty sure that's what she's based on.
Yeah. So, on the very off chance, Rob Zombie, if you're listening to this, please go ahead and make a werewolf woman of the
Yeah,
SS
please make it. If you need help, I'll
because
give you a high five.
uh, it's a good way for you to go back into the supernatural and you still have fucked up people because the Nazis are fucked up people.
Right.
But have a supernatural twist on it and make a monster movie.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that.
here's what we should because Lords of Salem is
Hmm.
essentially like a mixing of like The Exorcist and Rosemary's Baby, right?
Yeah.
So like we could have this werewolf woman of the SS be like a cross between um what the hell was the name of that movie? I don't remember. But there was The Keep. You remember The Keep?
Yes.
We could have it be a cross between The Keep and then the one movie where they discover that Nazi experiment and there's like the super soldiers that were like blowing up or zombies or something.
Yeah. Crap.
I don't remember the
Well,
name of it, but whatever. We mix those two
so it's
together.
Kurt Russell's son.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the yeah. We should mix those two together. It'd be great. Do it.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention what Lords of Salem reminded me a bit was a much better version of Silent Night, Deadly Night number 4.
Dear God.
It was the same idea.
Sure.
Right?
I mean, yeah, it had nothing to do with Christmas. Yes, that is they have that in common. They both have nothing to do with Christmas somehow. But no, yeah, I could, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like witches controlling a woman, like trying to get
Hmm.
her to breed a worm,
Right.
right? It's like, yeah, it's very, yeah, I get it.
There we go. We figured out this was a secret remake of Silent Night,
Yeah,
Deadly Night 4.
exactly. There you go. That's what happened.
Is Overlord, by the way.
Overlord. There you go. That's the one I
Yeah.
was thinking of. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it'll be
I
like
mean,
a mix between the Keep and Overlord.
The Keep, an Overlord, and Cursed.
There you go. And then a little bit of Dead Snow.
Yeah. I'm down. Let's make it happen.
um, yeah. So yeah, we hope it gets made. Obviously, there's not a whole lot to to do it, but if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It'll be the best 2 minutes of your life you spend today. I
It's on
promise.
YouTube.
Yeah, it
It's
definitely
on.
is.
It's on the special features of the Grindhouse series. If you buy them separately, they're not there.
Correct, which is odd. Yeah, yeah, because the one. Yeah, the one I have, like I said, when we did our Grindhouse thing, that was the first time I watched both of those in their entirety. I've only
Mhm.
seen the shortened versions in Grindhouse,
Right.
so that was fun. But yeah, I think I have the one that's both movies with the trailers in between. I'm pretty sure that's the one I have.
Yeah. That's a better version to get.
Yeah, I do not have them individually. I probably should, but I don't.
All right.
Anyway, is there anything else you want to add?
No, no. Like I said, I was like I said, I was blown away with Elizabeth Salem. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. So I'm happy to be surprised with a Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah, like I said, I liked it, but yeah, I watched it alone, and and no one would like listen to me that it was good and you should watch it. And they're like, nope, we don't care. All right, but yeah, I think it was pretty much fresh on the heels of Halloween 2, to where
It
like everybody
was.
was very upset about Halloween 1, and Halloween 2 just like blew out everybody, and they just like refused to like him anymore. All of the quote unquote horror pure people.
No, and that's why I really enjoy doing this podcast is because it's a good chance for us to go back into this catalog of stuff that we missed one for one reason or another, right? Obviously, a lot of 80s and 90s stuff we missed because it was the blockbuster rental days of if they didn't have it, you didn't know about it.
Right, right.
But yeah, and like I said, to see newer stuff. I mean, yeah, it's 11, 12 years old at this point in time, but still to be surprised with stuff that we see. Sometimes we watch a lot of shit.
Correct.
So it's a nice refresher.
That it is.
So what we got next week for us?
Join us next week as we journey into elevated horror. Yes, as Jenna Ortega put it so eloquently in Scream, Scream 5, but it was called Scream, but it's really Scream 5.
Right.
So yeah, we're venturing into the twisted worlds of the Babadook, which is one of the movies she actually did mention. So we're going to watch that. The Relic and Barbarian. Barbarian, I think we touched on as our highlights of last year, but I don't
Yeah.
think we did a full review on it. So
No. And for me, one of these I have not seen.
I haven't seen the Babadook for sure. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm pretty sure I've seen the Relic. I'm not 100%.
I told you to watch it. I thought you did.
I'm pretty sure I did. I know I've seen Barbarian. I'm pretty sure I saw the Relic. I know for a fact I have not seen Babadook. So I will be
Right.
watching at least one brand new. So
Yep.
all right. So remember, we watch bad movies so you don't have to.
And this has been Graveyard saying, have you checked on the children?
This is Salem saying, long live the new flesh.
Good night.
Good night.